Welcome everyone, I'm Joseph, your coach of the Minnesota Eon. Welcome everyone, I'm Joseph, your coach of the Minnesota Eon Twins, and here I'm going to bring you our Week 5 recap and team builder, team analysis, battle recap, all sorts of video. I haven't done one in a while, just because I haven't felt like it, but this one Loco and I did on Wi-Fi, so I thought it might be nice to make a video for everyone who didn't take the time to pull out their DS and fire up good old Oris and put in the code and watch it. So I recorded it just on like my little handheld camera over here, and it's pretty poor quality, highly unwatchable for the most part. But you know, if someone's interested, you can stick through this video and watch it. Anyway, Loco is the coach of the Vancouver Ursarings, our Season 4 Flair Champion and Grand Champion Season 4 as well. Really, really good battler. I faced him in our first week of the playoffs. I guess first round of the playoffs last season. And, I mean, he destroyed me during the season and beat me in the playoffs as well. And he's probably one of the best battlers in our league, the top tier. So there's the praise for you, Loco. Good job. Anyway, let's look at his team here. We scroll down, we see that he has a very strongly offensive team between the wall breaker that is Mega Heracross, Keldeo, Lando T does about everything you need. Metagross does lots of gives my team a lot of trouble. As we've seen in the past, my team can have some problems with strong attackers, especially things that can do a lot of damage to my Mega, so Mega Altaria, and that have ground coverage as well, which Metagross has, obviously with Earthquake, Bullet Punch, Meteor Mash, then Headbutt, Stealth Rocks. It's just going to be a problem in this matchup that I'll have to neutralize as soon as possible. So that's something we'll see me try to do in the team builder a little bit. Roserade could be an issue, probably is going to come because Sludge Bomb's super effective. And the only resist, I got a couple, I guess, between Nidoqueen and Empoleon, but they don't match up perfectly because of the grass coverage that it has. So that's a little bit of a problem for us. And so I kind of expect Roserade was going to come in this matchup. Honchkrow. Then he's got Manectric, Blastoise. Is his only form of hazard removal. Bar might get Defog on Honchkrow. I'm not sure. That'd be interesting if somebody brought that. That's something. If there's no Blastoise in the matchup, we're gonna be able to get up our hazards. He has Shuckle as well, which is always a little tricky to deal with its massive defenses. And I mean, you know kind of what it does, but at the same time, you don't know what its moveset's going to be. It's got a lot of supportive options that it can run, and so you never really know exactly what it's going to do. Mr. Meme Mime, has gained somewhat of a godlike status in this league, and that's a good reason. Look at him go with his little miming jig here. Rotom and Sneasel. The dark types, I'm figuring one of the two will probably make it into this matchup, but I'm not sure which one. Just going off the two typings, probably Sneasel because the ice does a little bit more damage to Altaria because of its super effectiveness on Dragon. And so yeah, that's kind of just looking at his team. I'm kind of expecting something along the lines of Heracross may or may not come. Keldeo may or may not. It gets shut down pretty well by Altaria. Lando T is always an option. It's probably going to be there. Metagross, probably definitely going to be there. Roserade is likely. Don't know about the rest. Sneasel I'm kind of expecting as well. So we'll just have to plan quite a bit for what might come, because you never know which of the 11 they're going to bring. So here, wow, team builder right away. All right, here we go. I don't know why I surprised myself with that. So the team that I brought to this matchup was a little bit more hyper offensive than I've ever really played before. So I got to do a little bit of learning about how you actually play hyper offense. Because usually I end up playing some sort of bulky offense or just kind of balanced teams. and I'm sure this kind of fell more towards that than an actual hyper offense team. But yeah, you'll see what we have in the build here. So we start with Plush Azelf. This isn't actually like the natural hyper offense lead. This is actually my like setup sweeper in the back. So we have Nasty Plot, Psyshock, Shadow Ball, U-Turn. It's really about all that we need to hit his team well with. Dazzling Gleam would do really well here. I don't know. I could have packed it over U-Turn. And we'll see in the match that it kind of became a wash between the two. But it would have been really nice, actually, to have Dazzling Gleam. We're packing enough speed to outspeed the Keldeo, and then the rest is dumped into special attack, and then the HP and defenses. Next up is Electric Field here, my nice little kind of support pivot to take a few hits if it needs to, but it's also modest max special attack to hit back pretty hard. The one that I ran modest. I was going back and forth between quiet and modest because I was thinking of running either Drain Punch or Knockoff, and I didn't really need the speed for his team necessarily. So these 4 UVs are here. I don't know where they went, probably into, I don't know, throw them in defense, something like that. I'm not sure where I put them exactly. But Thunderbolt, actually, looking at his team, does a pretty significant amount of damage to a lot of things. Its only resists are, hey, there's Pandora. That's my kitty. Just chilling up there by the TV. Does a lot of damage to most of his team outside of, I guess, like Roserade has a pretty high resistance to it, especially if it's on Assault Vest. But we have Flamethrower for that. And then for Lando T, if it comes in on a Thunderbolt, it can't really hit us back too much. It can knock off the Assault Vest. It can U-turn out, but we have Giga Drain, so we can do neutral damage that's fairly strong to it. And that's useful. So I think, I've really kind of liked Electros on this team quite a bit. Levitate, having no weaknesses is a great characteristic of a Pokemon. I guess you know that. Next up is Cersei. So this is bold, max defense. I should be able to live any one hit, so this is going to be my lead. Allow me to set off my Stealth Rocks immediately. If he brings an offensive Landorus, it might be a little bit of a problem because I don't think that I live in Earthquake from like Jolly Max Attack or Adamant Max Attack. For sure I don't. But I live a Zen Headbutt from an Adamant Life or Metagross. I know that much. I guess I did calc that. So that's pretty cool. And beyond that, yeah, just really, if I don't see like Blastoise, I want to get out my Stealth Rocks right away because that's kind of, how you play offense, as you put on pressure and make them switch and rack up damage between rocks and your strong attacks. Next up is Nimbus, my other setup sweeper in this matchup. So Drain Dance, Roost, Earthquake, Return. Nothing too special here. Enough speed to outspeed a few things. And I think that's like enough speed to outspeed a Scarfed Keldeo after 2 Dragon Dances. Something like that. But I'm not expecting it to do a ton in this matchup because it's pretty easy to prep for with his team. But, hopefully I'll get a kill or 2 or put on at least a little bit of pressure, start denting some walls. Who knows, something like that. Something else that I'm expecting, the next one, I guess Raikou, I'm expecting to put in a lot of work in this matchup. So Life Orb, just all-out offensive, Thunderbolt, HP Ice, Extra Sensory, Volt Switch. I hit pretty much everything for neutral damage. I do hit everything for at least neutral damage. And strong neutral damage at that. Enough speed to outspeed the Keldeo again, max special attack, dump the rest into various HP and defenses, kind of max it out in that way. So I'm really looking at Raikou to be a strong and prominent Pokemon in this matchup, something that I might, kind of wait until other things get broken down since he's got the speed to outspeed a lot of his team and hit everything really hard. Next up is Slam Puppy. This is a kind of mixed offensive Arcanine. Enough speed to outspeed the Landorus if it's not running a Scarf. We can Will-O-Wisp it and live a hit, pretty much neutralize it for the rest of the game. Everything else is just Flare Blitz, does damage to everything except his Blastoise. And for Blastoise we have Wild Charge, so we can at least put in about 75%, 80% to a defensive Blastoise between a Flare Blitz and a Wild Charge. We have Charcoal to just put in a little bit of extra damage. I played around this item quite a bit between like Choice Band, Choice Scarf, leftovers, life orb, but I wanted a little bit more power on my attacks without losing so much from the recoil plus life orb plus rocks or whatever else might be going on in the match. I thought about switching out Wild Charge for Morning Sun, but I wanted the coverage, and if I'm going for a more offensive build for the team anyway, I'm not going to be spending time healing up my Pokemon at all, likely. So, I mean, here Wild Charge is what I went with, and I think it didn't really come into play in the match, but you never know. When you're planning, you just gotta make the best decisions and see how it all pans out. So let's get into the actual matchup here. As you can see, nice and fuzzy. This camera, I could have spent more time trying to get it a little bit more focused, but just called it good enough. So let's get into it. So I guess I could go into the team that he brought. So he brought a team, I guess we'll pop back here. It was Heracross, Lando, the Metagross, Roserade, Shuckle, interestingly enough, and Sneasel. No, 6, right? Yep. So we see no Spinner, potential webs, rocks, potential T-spikes, a lot of potential hazards. Since I didn't bring Empoleon, I'm likely going to see as some sort of hazards in this match. But we really see, I don't, like, the offense should work out here if I can play it well. But I lead off with my Nidoqueen, as he leads off with Lando T, and so I just go for the call here that he might set up rocks and be defensive, and I want to get up my rocks, and maybe he'll fear the Ice Beam, so he does end up U-turning right out. And so that allows me to freely get up a pair of my Stealth Rocks, so that's really nice. Put on the pressure right away. And he goes out into Shuckle, so this is kind of frightening, because, I mean, he could set up rocks, or he can set up webs, and just kind of, like, get everything that he wants going on his side of the field. I don't really know what I want to switch in here, so I end up going out to my Altaria to see if I can set up on this, knowing that it's probably, not going to be doing too much offensively, even with Gyro Ball. Against a +1 Altaria, it only does like 27% or something like that. So I should be able to take the hits pretty well. So I set up a Dragon Dance as he goes. He went for his rocks first, and I'm expecting like Sticky Webs or something here. But he goes for Toxic on this turn, which I think is fine with me. At a +1, my return is going to be doing over 50%, just a little bit. So I should be able to 2-hit KO him even after leftover recovery. So we go for return as he takes over a little over 50% and goes for an encore. So thankfully I didn't Dragon Dance again there. Otherwise I would be kind of stuck into it and taking toxic damage. So that really played out in my favor in this situation. He switches out his Shuckle into his Resist, so Metagross. I don't want to take a Bullet Punch here as he doesn't take a lot from my return. So yeah, fearing the Bullet Punch, I just switch out into kind of my, I guess, check for this, which is going to be my Electros, as he actually goes for Earthquake here, I believe. Yeah, so I dodge that with Levitate. I wouldn't have taken much from the Bullet Punch anyway, since it's resisted. But he really did risk me going for Earthquake there, which is a little surprising. So he goes out into his Roserade, which after I just go for a safe Thunderbolt on this play, and looking at the damage, I can tell that he's probably defensive in some way. He's got his Black Sludge recovery there, and starts setting up more hazards. But I have coverage on here, so I go for, I do have coverage, but I go for a Volt Switch anyway. Going out into, what do I go out into? Oh, my Arcanine. Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Because this will allow me to just fire off a strong Flare Blitz and start doing some damage to something. Since we saw U-turn on his Lando, we don't know if it's defensive or offensive, because it might still be Choice Scarfed. So we'll kind of see if we can make that determination here. He goes out and just sacks his Shuckle, in fact, which I am fine with. He takes 25% from super effective Stealth Rocks, and then Flare Blitz will easily KO this with my spread and the Charcoal to power it up a little bit extra. Easy knockout for that. Slam Top, he's taking a little bit of damage. He goes out into Lando here and gets his Intimidate off. Surprising play that he didn't really go out into it earlier, because it would take in relatively minimal damage unless he was expecting me to be Choice Bandit or something, but it didn't. I would have put on a pretty significant dent, but I feel pretty free to go back into Electric Field, see if he knocks me off. But he just goes for an Earthquake again. His Levitates are really paying off in this matchup and really kind of preventing him from doing a lot of damage. So here I go right for the Flamethrower, I believe, expecting his switch out into something else. At this point, I kind of expect him to be locked into Earthquake since he locked in with Choice Scarf since he just switched out instead of U-turning out, and we haven't seen any sort of other indication. This is a pretty strong Sludge Bomb that I take, but I'm able to knock it out with 2 Flamethrowers, and we're still sitting at pretty good health that'll allow us to check Metagross at least one more time, hopefully. So he goes out into his Heracross here, which I'm expecting to just fire off some sort of powerful attack. Interestingly, he doesn't Mega Evolve, so I'm not sure what item he's running. I didn't catch it during the game, so I'll try and see if I notice exactly what it might be here. So I just go into Cersei. Because I resist everything that he can, all of his stab moves pretty strongly, and with max defenses, I'm able to eat that up. That's probably a modest, not modest, adamant, oh my god, adamant Mega Horn, and then he goes for an Earthquake, and somehow I've totally forgot that he would get Earthquake as coverage as I go for a Flamethrower, put a good amount of damage into his Chuck Norris, but he just finishes me off with a close combat. So at this point, I go out into my Altaria, I believe, because I think I'll either outspeed him or I'll be able to live the hit and just KO him with Return, because I'm sitting at a pretty good amount of health even after Stealth Rocks and Spikes. I guess not. I was actually kind of surprised that I lived this hit. I kind of forgot that hazards would do that much. But I do live it, and I'm able to knock it out with a super effective stab return, coming off max attack Jolly. And then the best part is that I live on 1 after the poison damage comes in. So he's forced to go out into Sneasel and take a little bit of health off with the Stealth Rocks, loses a quarter of his HP, and just goes for a quick knockoff. No reason not to. If I switch out, he gets to knock off an item. There's no reason to Ice Shark because he's clearly faster than me without my Dragon Dance. So I can go out and Slam Puppy and I can intimidate him. He's not going to be able to knock me out because I'm running a fair bit. Oh, he definitely could have knocked me out. But I went for the Extreme Speed here, that's why. Because if I had hit him with the Extreme Speed, it would have done over 50% since he was Life Orb. And that would have allowed me to basically make him, I guess, useless because he couldn't switch out because coming back in would have KO'd him on the Stealth Rocks. So I go for Extreme Speed as he switches into Metagross and a little bit of damage, but then I go right for the Flare Blitz, which just takes him out straight away. I guess he was expecting me to be like Bandit or something into Extreme Speed and have to switch out. But I just went for the offensive. Even, I think probably with a Bullet Punch he could have taken me out. So that was a kind of lucky play on my end. Not really. More like a poor play on Loco's end, potentially. Maybe it was a poor play on my end, and he was expecting me to make a better play. But I was playing a little bit risky at times. So he comes in with his Lando, and it goes for U-turn. It's clearly scarfed as I went for Extreme Speed just to get off a little bit of chip damage on it. And he goes out into Sneasel here. Now I have to make a big decision on what I'm going to go out into here, so I should spend a lot of time thinking about this and ran it down to about 1 second left before I go into Plush. I count it with the knockoff. I have a little bit of health investment. I should be able to live this no problem, and I do even after the Stealth Rock damage. And so I'm able to now KO him just a U-turn here. It would have been nice if I had Dazzling Gleam. I could have just gone for Dazzling Gleam. He would have had to go out into his Scarfed Lando and gone for a U-turn or something. but I still have another Levitator left, so I can just go out into Electric Feel. He can't lock himself into Earthquake here, which gives my Raikou free reign. It's not going to be KO'd by any move that he has. I guess Stone Edge would have been a little scary if he had gone for Stone Edge, but it's not that much stronger. I don't remember my base attacks right now. So I can go out into my #1 Ultra Beast here and just go for the safe Hidden Power Ice. Even after the rocks and spikes damage, I'm easily able to take this knockoff from this clearly choice card Landorus, and go for Hidden Power Ice, and that'll seal up the game for the Eon Twins. So that was a really nice match with Loco, really stressful, very exciting. I was actually having a lot of fun, mostly because I felt like I was playing pretty well, and I had a lot of energy after the battle. I was kind of jumping around a little bit, just because it was so good. It was very fast-paced, very offensive. I feel like we both played very well. So Loco is still in second place in the league, just behind Alinsco. He's at 4-1 with a +7, +9, something like that differential. The Eon Twins are at 3-2 with a +2 differential. After opening the season with 2 losses, we've come back with 3 straight wins and put us right on the edge of playoff contention. So that's looking good. Hopefully we can carry it on for the rest of the season. I think that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and until I make a next one, later days.